Well, I feel kind of like a relic because I've had my experience so many years ago in 1952 when there was no such word as near-death experiencer, and when in fact I thought I was the only person in the entire world that it had ever happened to, and consequently did not tell anybody except my husband, and little bits of the experience to very trusted friends, but not even the whole experience to them, until Raymond's book in 1975. So that was 23 years of walking around thinking I was the only person to whom this had ever happened. Couldn't imagine why, because it was the most extraordinary, wonderful thing that had ever happened to me in my whole life. I knew I had not done anything to earn such a marvelous experience, and I kept waiting for the other shoe to fall. What is it I am supposed to be doing? So that's prologue. My experience happened during the birth of my second child, Julie. And it had been a perfectly normal pregnancy, no problems. They used back in those ancient days a device called Trilene mask. It was a bracelet on the wrist and a little nose cone kind of thing. And you controlled your own labor pains with this device. When your pains became more than you wanted to cope with, you would put it up to your nose, breathe in, and for a few split seconds you would be unconscious. And then you would come back and wait for the next pain. I remember having an extraordinarily disastrous feeling pain. And I remember putting that nose cone up to my nose and inhaling as deeply as I possibly could. And when that inhalation was over, I felt myself rising up out of my body, up through the top of my head. And I was suddenly in total blackness. I did not see a tunnel, just blackness. And I thought, this is not right. I should be unconscious. I should not be feeling anything. I should not know anything. But I am still me. I'm still awake. Something is a little bit off. I don't know what it is. And then as quickly as that, I found myself standing in a kind of gray mist. And I knew right away what had happened. I remember distinctly thinking, I know what it is. I've died. I've died. And I was so overcome with joy because I had not been annihilated. I knew that I had crossed over into what we call death, and I still existed. I thought, I am still me. I am still here. And I was so grateful. And I wasn't talking out loud, but I remember joy pouring out of my energy field, out of my being. I was just kind of saying an internal, silent, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And as I did that, the gray mist dissipated and everything became brilliant white light. And the brilliant white light was not just light, it was also love.
What's happening to the mic?
The mic is
Lost the mic.
Lost the mic?
No, it's good.
Well, better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The light is not.
Okay. I was in this, I have to go back into it in my head, really. I was standing in this brilliant white light, and the light was also love, or the carrier of love. And I just began to feel very blissful, very exalted. It was an incredible feeling of having been loved in a way that I didn't even know love could be. Just cradled and totally safe. I knew there wasn't anything that could ever harm me. Nothing. I knew I could not fall into a crack in the universe and not be heard of again. I just knew that all was well, that everything was wonderful. And then there was what I always thought of as a block of knowledge, but I expect really it was a field of some kind of came in and settled on me all in a piece, and I suddenly knew that I was eternal, that I was indestructible, that I had always existed, that I always would exist. I just knew that there was no end. There was no end. And after I had a few seconds, I guess, maybe to understand that, well, I did understand it. I understood it immediately. But for it to kind of settle in, another block of knowledge came in and settled into my field. And I once again immediately knew that there was a perfect plan, that I didn't have to worry about anything, that all was well, that all the things that we don't understand, it's all right. We don't have to. I remember a phrase, the plan is perfect and it is working itself out in its perfection. And